And he laid into the team and he said, why am I busting my ass doing this for you? For who, for what? Because see, what I understand that I'm doing this for is not for you. Because you ain't on my team. You're on your own team, lost in your fucking mind. Okay? I am serving the truth, not you and your bullshit communities. Your so-called movements that ain't moving fucking anywhere. They ain't moving fucking anywhere. Okay? Because people would rather argue amongst themselves than actually go out and do any real work. Because they see what putting together a platform like this is. They see what doing the steady work of having to do this constantly, make all this content. You know, you wouldn't do it. You couldn't do it. You don't, first of all, most people don't have the skill set to do it, and they're not developing the skill set. They're still talking. They are yapping. Yap, yap, fucking yap, yap, yap. Shut your fucking mouth and get to work. How about that? No, that doesn't occur to anybody. Yap on fucking Facebook. Blah, 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 tapping away on the keyboard. Blah, 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 blah. It's what you sound like, a jerk off. But you know what you have to show? Really, in the long term, as an archive of your data, you have a big fat fucking goose egg. 99.999% of you. Well, you can yap on, gums flapping the fuck away about how I could be doing it better or how somebody else who has a huge body of work could be doing it better. Fuck y'all. How about that?
Freedom.
Okay?
That's what it's all about. You've got to groove on freedom, like the good book says.
All right, that being said, before I jump into the main presentation, let's switch back over to the computer slides. And I want to just go over this meme real quick that really connects with my presentation at Anarchadelphia, my upcoming presentation called The Sacred Gift of Anger. Because, you know, as I briefly talked about last week and just interjected a little bit of this whole Jeffrey Epstein situation regarding pedophilia and child trafficking at the highest levels of government institutions, which is all about Satanism at the highest levels of our society. You know, I talked about my take on it and how this is all about just Epstein was never going to see the inside of a courtroom. You know, regardless of what you think happened to him, you can conjecture from now until the end of time. But he's a member of the big cult that runs the world, and the big cult that runs the world isn't having him singing like a bird in his day in court. It's just not happening. Okay, they control that because the population is largely comprised of immoral pieces of fucking trash that will do anything that they are commanded to do or asked to do for a big enough paycheck or a big enough bonus, enough cash waved in front of their face, and they say, yes, satanic master overlord, whatever you say I must do, I'll do that and take your petty cash bullshit, you know, reward for your absolutely obedient house slaves immoral action that you want me to take. Okay, because that's how much to a large extent the vast majority of human beings on this planet are immoral trash. And that's why we're headed in the slavery direction that we're headed in, because people will not take heed of natural law. They don't want to learn it. They want to remain ignorant. They want to remain just totally and completely oblivious to what's really going on and the dynamics that are really controlling things and ordering things here on this planet and in this universe. And they do not want to understand the cosmic consequences for their behavior. For everyone on the planet. And so that's why this satanic cult continues to get away with what they are getting away with. Because all that karma is deflected away from them, because all they are order givers. And people like the people who work at Google, who are their globalist slaves, doing their bidding for them. Okay? What I'm about to show you should make you angry. And see, the thing is, people will see this and they'll just be like, oh, yeah, that's just the way it is. No, it's not the way it is or has to be. Oh, it may be the way it is. It's not the way it has to be. People are behind this. This isn't something that is just set in stone in the universe and you have no control over. Human beings make these decisions through their free will, through their fucked up mindset, that think they're doing the right thing. And or just know that they're involved in the agenda and want to bring in this control because they're brainwashed and or just evil people at the core of their being and the core of their mind and heart. This is what we're up against. This is what the good people of the world, alleged good people of the world, who say they want freedom, who say they want a free society are up against. But we keep blaming some, way high up levels, up the hierarchy. It's the average person who follows orders and just does this immoral behavior that's causing all of this. If you don't reach them with a message of natural law because you're angry enough about the behaviors that they're implementing that are creating chaos, you're not doing the great work. You don't even understand what the dynamic that needs to be done is. People are just talking about saying how they want things to change. Well, things don't just magically fucking change. Sorry to break the news to you, little boy, little girl. I'm going to just keep getting harsher and harsher about this stuff because the more and more I see, the more and more I realize no one's paying attention to what's really going on. Hardly anybody. I could bring up these dynamics on the street. Not one person for square miles around have any idea what I'm talking about. None. They don't even believe there's any such thing as truth. They don't believe there is such a thing as natural law. They don't believe in objective morality. They think it's whatever the fuck you want to believe, make it up. Solipsism, whatever you think is your truth is true. Whatever you think is right is right. They're total relativists and solipsists everywhere. All around in this city. Everywhere. Just about every person you talk to. Because they have been gotten. Their souls are gotten. They're gotten by the government. They're gotten by the education system. They're gotten by whatever political party, total association, egoically, their whole identity wrapped up in. They're gotten in every way. So this slide is a meme that's going around on social media everywhere. I'm glad it's kind of going viral. That shows you people talking about the Clinton body count and all the people that were have so-called committed suicide around the Clintons, since they were some of the biggest drug traffickers in the United States back in Arkansas. Okay. You type in DuckDuckGo search engine Clinton body and leave it blank. Okay. And then start typing a space after that. And then all of these results about the Clinton body count will come up. Clinton body count fact sheet, Clinton body count Wikipedia, Clinton body bags, Clinton body count meme, Clinton body count what really happened, Clinton bodyguard Snopes, Clinton body count Snopes, Clinton bodyguard deaths. All of these things about deaths related to closeness with the Clintons, will come up in DuckDuckGo. But on Google, you type it in and one result comes back. Clinton body shop in Clinton, Mississippi. A car body shop. Collision center. So if you don't think that blatant censorship is taking place about something that is very real, what couple do you know? I asked this before. What couple do you know on earth that has over 40 people connected with them at a friendship level, at a close level? Okay, not just even associates, at a friendship level, connected to a couple that that 40 people who are friends with them committed suicide. Over 40. How many people do you know at all in your life that committed suicide? If you know 1, 2, or 3, that's a lot for most people. Or if you know someone who knows somebody committed suicide, you might know, 5 or 10. Imagine one couple, and then here's what will be said. Oh, well, they're at high levels of politics, so they're under stress, and their immediate associates and friends are under such stress. Well, how many people in politics know 40 people who have committed suicide? Let alone couples in politics with 40 people around them that have committed suicide who are their friends. It doesn't happen, even in politics, okay? You won't find examples of it. And so this is a very real example of censorship. And I'm glad it's making the rounds on social media because imbeciles who don't think we're in an era of total censorship regarding these big tech jackasses that are total socialist clowns and total totalitarian assholes, okay? People actually still trust this institution. If you're still using Google as a search engine at this point, I mean, you're like complicit with communism. That's how blatant it is. All right, you're complicit with worldwide totalitarianism and worldwide socialism ushering in worldwide communism. That's really how bad it is. And that is not to take the alternative position to say, I agree with the alt-right and the right-winged authoritarians. It's all nonsense. It's all a Hegelian dialectic to get people to just believe in the legitimacy of authority vested in human beings called the government. But it's very apparently blatantly totalitarian, especially when it comes to socialists and leftists who are authoritarian in their mindset and want government involved in every aspect of life. And now they want to control what people are allowed to say. I'm going to do this search in real time so people can say, oh, this isn't a Photoshop thing. Let's do it in real time. So I'm going to step out of the presentation. I'm going to go over to my web browser, okay? And let's bring it up in real time. Here we go. This is the DuckDuckGo search engine. I've reconfigured it so that it will show results as you type. I usually turn that off, but there you have it. I click in there, and there is the result. Clinton body count, fact sheet, Wikipedia, bags, meme, what really happened, Snopes, and bodyguard deaths. Okay, right there with the word body. Now let's go to Google and do the same exact thing. So I have the search pre-prepared, Clinton body, in the Google search engine. I'm going to put a space after it, as I would if I'm going to continue typing something. And the only result that now comes back is Clinton body shop. That's it. Okay? Right there, you've seen it in real time. So the meme is accurate. As a matter of fact, they've even eliminated some results here in the Google search engine in real time. The same results are present for DuckDuckGo. So right there, if you don't think your ability to research is being completely censored in real time by these totalitarian search engines and these totalitarian big tech companies. Look, I'm on their platforms. I'm on YouTube, okay? I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on there because I'm trying to make people aware of what's going on. I'll be on there until they want to censor me, and then I'll dump their platform and go somewhere else. I don't really care what you guys want to do. You're not going to stop me from speaking and getting the message out. Because you're authoritarian trash and you are evil. You are evil people. At the core of your mind and heart, you're evil. All of you. And you should be completely ashamed of yourselves. You are immoral, trash human beings to continue to do this. You're not doing anything that's good for people. You're not doing anything that's good for the world. You're trash. You're immoral scumbag fucking trash. Okay? Who thinks you're good. And that's what every other immoral piece of scumbag fucking trash throughout human history thought. They think that they're good, and they just want to impose totalitarian control over other people and their speech. Up to a point where they're rounding them up and putting them in work camps and or shooting them in the back of the head. You're the fucking trash. Not the people who are trying to speak truth and learn about what's really going on at high levels of corruption in government, including child trafficking and pedophilia. To ask questions about that means that you're a good person trying to seek the truth. To try to censor research about that means you're an authoritarian piece of fucking garbage. And that's what the people who work at Google are. That's what the people who work at Facebook are. You are immoral, garbage human beings at the core of your heart. You have a black-hearted, evil core to your heart. Because you don't understand the necessity of free speech at this time in human history. And that makes you a garbage, immoral human. And you should be ashamed of yourselves, and your parents should be ashamed of themselves for bringing a child like you into the fucking world. It's your parents' fault for not raising you with morality. You're garbage trash. And that's all I have to say about that right now. So we're going to jump into the main body of the presentation for today's show. I'm going to say it just plainly and flatly, just like it needs to be said, because no one else will say it like that. I'm the only one who will say it like that. So it's been said. So let's move back to the presentation. Here we go. So continuing from last week's show, and folks, I'm going to have another caveat before I start, because, again, I'm going to keep being Mr. Broken Record. So put up on the lower third, Mr. Broken Record, because that's who I'm going to be again now, and I'm going to keep being Mr. Broken Record week after week after week. Start with podcast number 1. Then go to 2 when you're finished number 1. When you're finished number 2, then go to 3. Do you understand? You know, I mean, I really feel like I'm talking to a whole population of people with like very advanced Down syndrome. You know, it's a sad fucking thing to have to say week after week after week that the podcast is not meant to be listened to out of order or watched out of order. And yet I'll still have people, I don't understand what you're talking about in podcast number 79, Mark. Well, maybe because you didn't listen to 1 through 78. People are just really, I mean, their brains are burnt hard to a fucking crisp. Due to the radionics, the bad food, the chemtrails, the smog and carbon, the hydrocarbon exhaust in the atmosphere that they breathe in every day. The GMO foods, the lack of exercise, sitting in as a sedentary lifestyle. Disconnection with nature. You can go on and on for why their brains don't work. But you know why? The number one thing, they just want to hear what they want to fucking hear. They don't want to hear what the actual truth is. They want to hear what they believe already in their own mind, and they don't want to have their mindset challenged and altered because they want to believe they can change the world without changing themselves and their own mindset. So if you click this link, okay, which I'm going to do. Let me just go back and do it in real time, okay? You click this link right here that says you should click here to start with episode number 1. It now will take you to a section that I have set up called Podcast in Order, okay? You could see that up in the URL here. It says Podcast in Order after the slash of order. So we could jump back into the presentation, and this is the title card for the presentation, Tesla and Humanity's Missing Paradigm Shift, originally given in New York City as part of the Nikola Tesla Conference hosted by the Tesla Science Foundation. You could actually visit the Tesla Science Foundation at their website, teslasciencefoundation.org. And they have a very nice presentation last week. Let me just pull up that slide. There we go. Okay. We ended off on this slide of the presentation called Why Hasn't Humanity's Paradigm Shift that was being talked about in the late 90s, early to mid and late 90s, not happened? Why hasn't this occurred in human society? Why are we still at the place that we really were back at that time period when the paradigm shift was being talked about, this change in human consciousness was being heralded? You know, you hear people talking about it today. They don't call it the paradigm shift anymore. They just call it the awakening, okay? Like the awakening of humanity. And you hear everybody saying, oh, humanity's awakening. They're really getting this. You know, and I don't know what planet they live on. I say this over and over again, not to discourage people, you know, but I don't see the evidence for it, at least not here. Look, I think if you're going to have a gauge, to have a basis, you know, to measure the awakening of human beings, would you believe in your mind, if you're going to conduct some sort of a scientific investigation regarding whether that is actually occurring, would you go to the least populated centers of the planet, or would you go to the most populated centers of the planet? Would you want to go to where human beings are congregated and concentrated? Or would you want to go to the place where so few people live that it's negligible compared to where the bulk of human beings live on the earth? Where do the bulk of human beings live on the earth? Do they live in the most rural areas and sparse areas where there's not that many people? Or does the bulk of the human population live in concentrated cities and urban environments? Well, it's like over 90% of the human population lives in urban environments now. Certainly in the United States, that's true. Whether that's true for the rest of the world exactly at that figure, you know, it may be a little lower than that. But I guarantee you, in westernized societies, which is what this audience really is, that's who I'm talking to. People who have access to technology to listen to an HD stream, to watch an HD stream in real time, or go pull up a podcast series on their computer. We're talking about a westernized society, Western civilization, okay, that has access to technology, you know, total sanitation and clean running water, toilets, etc. We're not talking about, you know, third world countries where you could say, oh, there's very dense populations there, especially in their cities. But if you're going to try to really gauge whether a human awakening is taking place, you're going to go into the most highly concentrated population regions, which is urban environments in Western civilization. And you just do brief, very brief social experiments, you're going to be horrified by the answers that you get of where people are at. And I've done them. See, don't try to speak before you've done your own homework. You want to really understand what's going on socially in the minds of human beings around you? Do the social experiments that I've done and get the data. So you'll see some of that data presented in Teaching Natural Law, my workshop at Anarchadelphia. We're going to have some of that data for you about where people's mindset is at from social experiments that we have done in real time right here in the city I'm from. And you'll find, if you're being honest with yourself, or if you just do this enough, you could do it in any area and the results will not be drastically different, because the human population has been brainwashed similarly no matter where you go. No matter where you go. And I'm going to show that in the documentary, Mark Passio and the Science of Natural Law. We have clips in there, man on the street interviews, that show you just what people still believe. Everywhere you go. It doesn't matter where you go. So don't tell me any awakenings happening, because I've done the actual social experiments and I have the numbers. I know the dynamics that would need to be present for an awakening to be occurring, and I know what the actual numbers regarding where the human mind is actually at regarding the true state of awakening. And let me tell you something, there's no such thing happening. Once again, I do not say that to discourage anybody, to get them depressed, to make them, want to give up. I tell them that because it's the truth. And in order to change something for the better, you have to know where the dynamic is currently, and you have to gauge it and assess it honestly. You don't try to see what you want to see. You have to see what's really there. And guess what? That's one of the hardest things for people to do, because it will show you what the great work is. And most people, when they see where we're really at as a species and they see what the work is to do, you know what they say? Fuck it. It ain't worth it. It'll never happen. It'll never get done, based on how fucked up humanity is. That's what most people say. Except the truly crazy ones like me, that say, I'll be here no matter what happens to my body, continuously doing this work from now till the end of fucking time, if necessary. Because that's what someone who has really committed their soul to performance of the great work has committed to. No escape. No going anywhere else until this mission is accomplished. And until someone has developed that much willpower, has hardened their mind, body, soul, and every other aspect of their personality to commit to the work, no matter which direction it goes, prepare for failure. Okay? Until you've developed your willpower to that preternatural extent, to a superhuman extent, prepare for failure. Okay? So, why hasn't this paradigm shift already happened? Here's the reasons. Most people still believe in authority, and that authority and government are morally legitimate and necessary. We asked this question over and over again in the man on the street interviews for the Natural Law documentary. People believe government and authority are perfectly legitimate, they exist in nature naturally, and that they are absolutely necessary, or human beings will go into a state of total and utter chaos. They still believe in the legitimacy of the left versus right political paradigm, which means they believe in slavery. They don't understand that government is slavery, and they believe government is necessary to prevent chaos and coercion, when government is coercion, slavery, and therefore chaos. We're going to apply more and more chaos to get rid of the chaos. Yeah, it'll work like that. Once again, I want to have this water in this pot, but I want to turn it on a boiling flame until it evaporates away, and I still want that water to be perfectly cool with the flame under it, not evaporating when I put my hand in there. I want to put my hand in a boiling pot of water, and I want it to be ice cold. Well, good fucking luck. Because reality doesn't work that way, ignorant shit. You know? And people just won't say it to people like that. You don't understand the laws of nature. You don't understand the dynamics of consequence as to actually how they really work here on Earth and throughout the rest of the universe. You don't get it. You haven't studied it. I'm one of the only people that'll just come right out and say it like that to somebody's face just like that. Again, I go on, I'm still going on so-called alternative media just about every day, just trying to find something to listen to. And it's like, I mean, what is out there, people? It's so bad you can end up just vomiting over the sink or in the toilet. That's how bad it is. I mean, I just can't believe there's just that much swill and garbage all on the alternative media that aren't talking about first principles. Not talking about first principles and natural law. It's horrifying. Then you have other people out there that want to blame one group of people. It's all the Jews. It's all the Freemasons. It's all the Zionists. It's all this and it's all the Jesuits. It's just the Vatican. This oversimplified, totally unidimensional way of thinking about the entire world control situation. And they don't understand the dark occult. They don't understand how it's all a hierarchical network that's worldwide, interconnected. Interconnected societies, orders, institutions, organizations. Connected with intelligence agencies, connected with religion, connected with medical organizations, drug cartels, pedophilia, big banking, big business, big oil, big pharma, all connected. Interconnected, dark, occult, secret societies. No, people don't want to understand that's how it works because that's complex. They have little shit baby boy, baby girl poop in their diapers thinking, you know, that hasn't developed a more complexified way of thinking about how the world structure really works together. Think tank organizations, you know, social engineering institutes like Tavistock. They don't want to understand how it all fits together and works together as a hierarchical organization and a framework that guides people's thoughts the way they want them to think. No, that's too complex. They want to reduce it to oversimplified notions like it's all just the Zionists. Is that a bad part of the world control system? You damn well better believe it, and you need to understand it and study it. That doesn't mean that's all there is to it. That would be like me telling you it's all just the Freemasons or it's all just the Jesuits. No. Is that important to understand and to study? Absolutely. And I've talked about that in presentations. I've talked about that right here on What on Earth is Happening. I've talked about the Jesuit order at a preliminary basis as part of a wider study in fake-ass Christians. I'm not telling people don't look into all of those things. You have to. But to just try to reduce it to just one thing, you're oversimplifying everything. And you don't understand how the world structure of control really works because you don't understand the occult and how it works. The second reason the paradigm shift hasn't happened is because most people in the world still believe the mainstream media. Still believe that the mainstream media and its pundits are telling them anything resembling truth. And you go out, do a man on the street interview. Maybe if you're from a super conservative rural area, that won't be the case. And people are aware that the mainstream media is duping them and lying to them. But walk out in any urban environment and say, do you watch the news? You pay attention to mainstream media? And either they're watching television news in some form or another, regardless of what network it may be, or they're reading government-approved newspapers. They're reading mainstream media newspapers and magazines. And then they'll say they're informed. Now, you're about as informed as a sack full of fucking hammers. Okay? That's about how much you know, about as much as those hammers do. You know? And you're a lot less useful to the world. At least that hammer's a tool. You're a tool, but it's just in a different way. In a lot less useful of a way. You're a tool in the same sense that you're useful to your masters. Most people still believe that the purpose of mainstream science, which I call scientism, is a genuine search for truth and the betterment of humanity through the understanding of nature and the development of new technologies. No, that's not what science in the modern world is about. It's about the opposite. It's about occulting a genuine understanding of nature and the development of new technologies. Because science is controlled and operated by occultists. And mainstream science is all about getting approval for government grants, getting government grant money so you can continue your hamster on the wheel form of science, going round and around just to get that money for the next year, but making no progress. You know? And then all these so-called scientists want to say they're good people. You're immoral fucking trash. Taking money from the government, which is stolen loot, stolen money at the point of a gun to somebody's fucking head, taking it so you and your family can be comfortable going around on the hamster wheel of government grant money. Piece of shit. But no one will say that. No one will say that to them. They're good. They're just trying to put food on their table for their families. You're taking stolen money from the government through grant money, and you're going on an endless fucking cycle like a hamster in a rat wheel, progressing science not one iota. And if you think you are, you're a fucking liar to yourself, most of all, let alone blowing smoke up other people's ass. I don't want to hear that there's any real science going on in institutional bodies. You guys are covering up what's possible. And you want to say that's conspiracy theory? You're a piece of fucking garbage. The conspiracy theory is what you're pushing, that you're pushing real science, that you're actually conducting real science. That's the conspiracy theory, asshole. I'm done with people believing this garbage shit. Okay? I'm finished. You're not getting the old Mark Passio back ever, who was very calm and had to maintain a calm demeanor. I'm channeling all of my rage about what's going on and how fucking dumb people are for believing this nonsense. You're as dumb as dog shit. Okay? I'm going to keep saying that week after week after week after week until you get up off your ass and you start changing these people's minds by putting this in front of them so undeniably that it's everywhere and cannot be escaped. That's what our work is to do. Not to run away or say, I want to get off the planet. You're a fucking coward if that's how you behave. Or to say this is all just about what happens after this life. No, it's about the work you do here to change it in the here and now. That's real occultism. That's real spirituality. This is, see, that's the whole problem, is escapism. Saying, I want to go somewhere else where my soul can progress. Your soul ain't going anywhere else but the earth until you end slavery here. Boy and girl. That's exactly where it's coming and staying. And probably until you make the vow to say, I'm going nowhere else, you're going to probably forget a lot of your past experiences, and they're not going to come back like that in the next incarnation. You're going to have to go through it all over again. You achieve real self-mastery by understanding that your work is here on the ground, on the earth, in the now. Then maybe you'll come back more empowered than the last time somebody was shat out of their mother's womb. Okay? So I'm just going to get harsher and harsher about this stuff. Because the so-called big boys and big girls really haven't grown up. They just think that they have. But they don't really know what the goal is or where it's to be done. Most people still believe that the purpose of the so-called education system is to edify and enlighten people through genuine knowledge. And here's the other thing. People still sending their kids to government schools thinking, oh, they're going to get that education there. Believing, and the people who work in the education thinking you're part of the solution. You are teaching a government grant money funded curriculum to indoctrinate students into believing what the government wants them to believe. You're not doing any real education if you're teaching inside a government approved curricula. You're lying to yourself, trash. Lying to yourself, trash. Okay, I want you angry. I want you mad at what I'm saying. If you're not, see, if you're asleep and you're not getting mad at what I'm saying, you're not waking up. The first step of waking up is that you have to get angry about the truth. You have to get angry about what you've been involved with. Punk. You've been punked. You're a punk bitch that's been punked. Okay? You've been clowned out, boy. Clowned out, girl. And you don't even get that you're clowned out if you're a member of these institutions, pumping out the shit they pump out. All you got to do is look at the result. Are we an educated population, or are we dumb as a bag of fucking hammers, societally? Oh, where's the teachers saying this? No, because you don't want to lose your tenure or your pension or whatever the fuck you're waiting on. You don't want to lose your benefits. Because you're a little boy and a little girl who won't grow up, grow a set of fucking balls, grow some courage and speak the truth. And reality will stay the same and degenerate into worse and worse states of totalitarianism and slavery until you grow that set of balls. Okay? You know, the sugarcoating is over here on What on Earth is Happening. Over. Okay? We did that for way too long. I hurt people with that shit. I hurt people by not showing them my real personality. Hurt them. I'm making up for that now. Okay? Because I sugarcoated enough for people to take some of the information, but I wasn't hard enough on them. That's what happened. You know, and I still want to walk a line where I don't let my anger eat me up. I'm trying to put out a message to the people that will get it, that have a strong constitution and will to move forward, that will become the teachers that are needed. You know, I see maybe one every 6 months, a newcomer starting to teach natural law. Maybe one person every 6 months comes along and I watch a video by them and I'm like, I'm impressed. You think that's the rate that it needs to be at to make any appreciable progress in the world situation? You're out of your fucking mind. When I go on alternative radio and every person I hear is talking about natural law, I'll tell you the alternative media community is doing a good job. They have their head up their ass. That's where it's at right now. Okay? So back to the final point of this slide. Most people still believe that the institutions of religion, banking, medicine, law enforcement, military, and just about every other societal institution exist to do what they claim they exist to do. Meaning they believe that their ostensible purpose is their true purpose. As I covered on episode 213, the ostensible purpose of modern institutions often has absolutely nothing to do with why that institution truly exists and what it is actually set up to do societally. You have to learn the difference between ostensible purposes of mainstream institutions and their true purpose in society, which we covered on that podcast. I believe it was 213. 213 or 214. I think it was 213. What all of these things constitute and are all ultimately comprised is a system of false beliefs that is still widely believed and accepted in our society as a whole. And if you tell the people, no, you have the religion, you are the believer, you are the non-scientifically minded human being, you are the one who is operating on faith alone when no evidence exists to support your position. You are the religious cult believer and follower, not me. I'm not the conspiracy theorist. The conspiracy theorist believes the mainstream media is telling them the truth about Jeffrey Epstein. Okay? That's the mainstream, that's the conspiracy theorist of the world. Not that alkaline earth metals from the periodic table are being combined with aluminum and other soft metals and sprayed into our atmosphere. That's not a conspiracy theory, that's actually occurring. It's not a conspiracy theory that high levels of the government are run by pedophilia and child traffickers. Pedophilia pedophiles and child traffickers. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's the fact of life on planet Earth in the 21st century. The conspiracy theorists want to tell you there's nothing to that, because they are putting out the government-approved conspiracy theories that everything is fine, the mainstream media has your best interest in heart, and the people on there want to tell you the truth. And most people believe it. I don't accept for a moment that the bulk of the population doesn't believe what the mainstream media tells them about Epstein. They'll say that for a day because it's cool, and then they'll just repeat to them, anybody believing in this that the Epstein death had conspiratorial aspects as a conspiracy theorist, and they'll go, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, we're not to believe in the conspiracy theory, we're to believe in exactly the narrative that you put forward, just like what we tried to tell them about Pizzagate. Pizzagate actually occurred and was real, folks. It was about the emails that were pulled from the Podesta email server that they say is a crime to commit. No, the crime is the pedophilia that was all documented in those emails, not exposing those crimes. That's not a crime. I don't give a fuck what they say, what government says, or what the mainstream media says. Fuck you. We're going to own them. We're going to spread them. We're going to propagate truth, no matter what you say. The problem is people are not angry about that situation. People aren't angry that the bulk of the population believes all these false beliefs. And because they're not angry enough, they're not doing something about it. They're not channeling that anger and putting it in the right action of speaking the truth out into the world. That's why there's only like 4 or 5 people teaching natural law on Earth in any kind of a way that is halfway decent, when there should be 4 or 5 fucking million by this point, at least. But I'm not supposed to be bitter about that. That I've given up my life that I want to live and the comfort level that I could have had to do this shit. See, that's the problem. Yeah, my producer is signaling me to show people what my shirt says. Yeah, I just got this week. Here, let me turn into it. There we go. It says, me and my homies would have been stacking bodies by now. You know? That's really the attitude that needs to happen. We need to make these people afraid of us, not the other way around. You should be very afraid of me, because I'm not afraid of you. You know? I don't give a shit what you think of the Founding Fathers or George Washington. How about that? That's not what it's about. Ass. Not what it's about. It's about the idea. The idea of freedom that, okay, they didn't go all the way. Well, guess what? We'll stand upon their shoulders and we will go all the way. I don't put them up on pedestals as gods. If you think I do, you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. You don't know what my work is all fucking about. You believe what you want to hear. It's a symbol and an idea that needs to be taken to a further level of consciousness and manifestation. Did they get it all the way? Absolutely not. Do most people today get it all the way? Absolutely not. I talk about this all the time. How do vegans actually still believe in government? That's one that boggles my mind. Oh, I know they're brainwashed and it's a religious belief system to them, but they could so fully understand how we'll enslave the animal kingdom, but they can't understand how government is slavery to the human population. And then anarchists don't understand what we're doing to animals, and so they don't want nothing to do with eating a plant-based diet. You know? And people go, you can't be healthy on a plant-based diet. Folks, do I look unhealthy to you? Do I look not strong to you? Do I look like I could not handle myself to you? Do I look like I'm afraid or weak to you? You think any of those things, you better have another thought coming to you. I eat a fully plant-based diet and I could whoop my 19, 20-year-old self in a heartbeat second. My 20-year-old self wouldn't last 1 second with me in my body today. Okay? So it's all about whether you do it right or not. And that takes a huge intake of knowledge. And this is the whole problem, folks. This is the whole thing, that most people don't want to go through that process. They don't want to go into the knowledge all the way. They want to half-ass the knowledge, and then they half-ass the proposed solution. That's why you have people out there that say they want freedom, that say they want free energy, and they still believe in authority, government, the mainstream media, the mainstream education system, mainstream science, religion, banking, law enforcement, military, and all the other institutions. Because they are religionists. Religion does not mean believing in Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, etc. Those are the cultural religions. And I'm going to keep saying this over and fucking over and over and fucking over and over and fucking over. Like a broken fucking record. Religion means more than you believe that it means. It means being caught in false belief systems about how the world works. That's religion. It means you believe that the violence and coercion and slavery of government is morally legitimate, which it never can be. That's religious belief. It means you believe in all the other institutions, money, the education system, science as scientism. All religions that hold you back from where you need to go in your understanding and consciousness to understand your world and the role that you play in the world. And the dynamics of consequentialism that are at work in the world. Natural law. The laws of cause and effect through behavior. So moving on to the next slide. The transition wasn't working properly. There we go. There is simply no polite way to tell people that they've dedicated their lives to an illusion. And it doesn't matter. You know, I don't really know this gentleman's work that well, Daniel Dennett, but it doesn't matter who said it. All that matters is that the statement is true. This is a meme just pulled off the net, but it's absolutely true. And you have to stop trying to baby feed it to them. You got to tell them, no, you're brainwashed. No, you don't understand what's going on. You think you do, but you don't. You need more information. You need more knowledge. You don't have enough knowledge about what's taking place. You haven't looked into it deeply enough. You look into it in a cursory way for the soundbite but you don't dive into the deep water. That takes time and persistence. I see people all the time who finally get a glimpse of what the great work really is. And you know what they do? 180-degree turnaround. You keep going that way. I'll be headed this way. That's what they say. Whether they verbalize it out loud or whether it's going on in the conscious or subconscious minds, it doesn't matter. You can tell they don't have the will. Because they'll say, this is how much effort is involved to create this little change in the world? Yes, actually, even more effort than you think because you don't see all the aspects of it. And most people go, fuck that, man. Get that away from me. I want no part of it. And that's exactly why the world stays enslaved. Because we don't have the willpower to follow through. To push forward. And let me tell you something, folks. It takes its toll on the people who are doing the work. Because what we end up thinking is, what are we doing this for? For who? For what? Why bother to continue? When nobody will get off their ass and help. Or so few will get off their ass and help. It's not worth it. Because it's not going to accomplish the end goal. And if you're not in it to accomplish the goal, what are you doing anything for? Why would you set one foot toward a institution of a project if you're not in it to complete the project? So all this about don't want the goal, that's bullshit spirituality too. You have to want the goal badly enough that it drives your behavior to push forward until you achieve the goal. That's what manifestation in the world is all about. It's not about just wishing it and saying, oh, well, yeah, we may never get to that, but in the physical world, this is the goal. I'm not talking about perfection. I'm talking about ending an imbalance that should never have arisen called slavery, which is an unnecessary imbalance in the world. If you think slavery is necessary, you are fucking sick. You're sick. You're soul sick if you think it's necessary. If you think government and slavery are necessary to teach some lessons, you are a fucking sick person mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You're ill. You're mentally ill. You're spiritually ill. You're heart sick. You're soul sick. The regular experiences in the physical plane are enough of the whetstone to sharpen all of the things that we need to sharpen in the physical domain. Our will, our spirit, our emotions, all of it. You don't have to go into such a level of imbalance to produce slavery so that you can't progress in consciousness. Absolutely unnecessary. Some of the people who I think are some of the most spiritually imbalanced when they go off into statements like all thought should cease, like Eckhart Tolle, you know, also get part of it when they say evil is only necessary until people realize that evil isn't necessary. You have to be willing to discern and pick and choose and look at, is this statement actually spiritually correct and absolutely truthful? Is his statement about we have to obliterate human thought to become enlightened true? No, it's a big crock of bullshit. Because he's too right-brained and balanced to realize that we need thought as a tool in our tool set here on Earth to accomplish the ending of our slavery. But does that mean you throw everything out somebody says just because they're wrong about some things? See, this is where people go. I don't like one thing you said, so I'm throwing out all your work. It's a baby-fied, little baby position. You don't agree with one thing that I agree with and I think is true. So everything else you say, you're a fucking idiot and it's all nonsense. It's such a baby-fied position. It shows how emotionally immature people are in our community. Our so-called community. We don't have any fucking community. And honestly, to tell you the truth, if the world wasn't enslaved, most of the people in this community wouldn't be in my, quote, friendship circle and or physical presence. I wouldn't choose. You see, in hard circumstances, you make choices to associate with people you ordinarily wouldn't. And that's, guess what? Is that harsh? You're damn right that's harsh. It's cold. It's cold. I think about how many people I know and have known in the whole freedom community, so-called freedom community, that if we were all free, would I have one thing to do with them? And the answer is probably 9 out of 10, no. Would not be even associates, let alone friends with. Get as offended as you like. Doesn't matter to me. I'm not here to be your friend. I've told people that 1,000 fucking times. We are here to accomplish a mission, not to be buddy-buddy friends and all social and all lovey-dovey. I could care less about any of those elements. If I happen to make a good friend along the way, wonderful. It's an added bonus. That's not what I'm here to do. That's not what I'm looking for. I am here to get the work done of ending human slavery. That's the great work. All right, let's move back to the slides. So, most people in the free energy movement still don't understand the free part. There is no free energy movement. There's people who want to create inventions so that they could have patents and profit from something that they hold back from everybody else. That's what the free, so-called free energy movement is. And don't tell me that's not what it is. That's absolutely what it fucking is. I've talked to them myself. I don't need to hear it in book knowledge. I've actually spoken to people that's their mindset, and they're all too happy to come out and tell you that's my mindset. And when I say back to them, you ain't creating freedom or free energy, you're creating more slavery. Then they want to get all offended. You don't understand the free part because you don't understand freedom. Freedom isn't turning an invention over to government so they could use their violence to stop anyone else from using it so you're the only one that can profit from it. That's called slavery. That's slavery, not freedom. I just have to laugh at all the people in the so-called free energy movement that believe patents are the way to go. You're smacked ass clowns, okay? I'm going to start getting hard on them. I'm going to start getting hard on the people in the New Age movement. I'm going to start getting hard on people in the anarchist movement. I'm going to start getting harder on people in the, exposure, the disclosure, exposure of extraterrestrial intelligence, UFOs, aliens, all of that. We need to get harder on all these people. Because here's the one thing, not one of them, or practically none of them in any of those communities, so-called communities, understand. You don't understand freedom and natural law and how they go hand in hand together. And because you don't understand that occult knowledge, you're helping to enslave the world through your behavior and your mindset. And you don't understand that. And I'm not here to be, I'm done with a lot of stuff, folks. I don't know how many more conferences I'm going to go to. I might just do my own events here when I want to do them. I think I'm done with, after Anarchadelphia, I'm finished with all conferences. I'm not attending anybody's conferences. I don't want to go, I don't want to travel. I don't want to go anywhere. I'm going to find a venue that'll let me do smaller presentations here in Philadelphia at rare time schedules when I build up the presentation to a point where I say, yes, it's ready to deliver on no time frame. And then I'm going to book a venue and deliver that presentation. Because I don't want this, I really don't want this false community around me anymore. It doesn't do anything for me, quite frankly. And I hope people do take offense and insult to that. You should be offended. Sometimes you need to be offended. You know, I don't see us doing any progress. I don't see us making any progress. What I want you to do, how about at Anarchadelphia, you come, okay, and then maybe stay for a little while and walk around the fucking city and talk to people in this city, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Then you'll see what the great work is to do, because you probably live someplace where you're around this really small, tight-knit group of people, or your only friends are people on the fucking internet. And you don't interact with the real world, the real physical world around you. That's what the internet has done. It's made people all huddled and fearful in their own homes. Oh, I'm going to stay here to tap away on the keyboard for a little bit. That's what it's made us into. Not people who go out and actually see what people's behavior is like all around them on the street. Because if you did, you'd be horrified and depressed about the real state of humanity instead of believing everybody's waking up like the 5 fucking people on your Facebook feed are. And then you want to extend that to the rest of the world because this is your whole community. So, yeah, sorry, I accidentally pulled out of my slides. Let me go back to that. So, you know, this is the state of humanity, where we're in a completely locked down prison society, rapidly progressing to an overt prison planet instead of a covert one. And you have people in the free energy movement that say, we're going to work through the government and through patents to get free energy. I mean, hold on a minute. Like, you know, I have something for you. Just cut away to just the regular. Here's the free energy community. Yeah, we're going to invent all these great inventions that are going to be all about free energy, and we're going to do this through the government. The government's going to approve everything. We're going to have patents for all of it, of course. You know, we'll make these patents, and the government will give us the rights to the patents, right? And then once we have the patents, we're the only ones who are going to be able to profit from all of this, right? But then we're going to have it put out there by the government because they're going to see how great it is, right? They're going to see how wonderful all these inventions are and how great and how much humanity needs them. We need them for our freedom. And so then the government, through the patent system, they're going to put out all of these free energy devices to everybody, and everybody's going to be free. That's how it's going to work. Yeah. Yeah. You smacked asses. Smacked asses. And there's no polite way to tell you that you've dedicated your life to an illusion. There's no polite way. See, I dialed it back, right? Like I dialed it back on the InfoWars show. Admittedly, I dialed it back. When I have a totally new audience, I'll dial it back a little. This ain't that, folks. This is for the people who have listened and watched What on Earth is Happening podcast number 1 through 219. That's where you're at now. This is what you're going to get now. Yeah, oh, it's humorous at some level. I'm trying to inject a little bit of lightness into it, but it's not really that funny. Because we aren't making progress in our understanding, in consciousness. We still think the same thoughts we did 20, 30, 40 fucking years ago and think magically we're going to change the world. And that's the problem. Everybody wants to change the world, but they don't want to change their own thoughts and emotions and actions. They think they're going to do that. That's going to happen magically. And the government's going to be the assistance in this process, right? They're going to, because they want to help us so much. They want to make things better. They want you fucking enslaved, dunce. That's what government wants. And there ain't no polite way to tell you that if you've dedicated your life to the illusion that government wants to improve the quality of life of human beings on this planet. You're a fucking dunce. And you are a religious cult follower and believer. And all the people who believe that in the free energy movement, you spread this podcast around to the whole free energy movement. Because that's what you need to hear. You're dumb fucking dunces that are religious cult followers that believe in the cult called government and actually think they're here to help you instead of fucking enslave you. Dunce. All right? So I was respectful of the Tesla Science Foundation to go up on their stage that they invited me to and dial it back a little bit and present this as politely as I could. Well, this ain't their stage. This is my stage now. What on earth is happening is my stage. Okay? And now you're getting the real Mark Passio. You're getting Mark Passio from the founders, not Mark Passio of old What on Earth is Happening acclaim. All right? Because there's no time to put it politely anymore. You don't understand where we are. You know, I said a long time ago, almost jokingly, I should change the name of the show from What on Earth is Happening to What in Hell is Happening. But guess what? It's not a joke anymore, folks. We're in hell. This is hell. Earth has been turned into hell. This is what the metal singer that I call the philosopher mage of heavy metal, Ronnie James Dio, said in the song Heaven and Hell. It's on and on and on. It's heaven and hell. We have the choice. We have the free will choice to either create a paradise or a prison on earth. It's both heaven and hell. And it goes on and on. That choice is continuously renewed in the present moment. That's why it's a gift. The present moment of free choice, free will, that is gifted to us by the creator of the universe to create anything we want to create. And here's what we're choosing to create: a fucking prison out of what could be a paradise planet. And then I'm not supposed to be angry about it, right? I'm supposed to be totally calm. Don't get angry. That's what the New Age movement and bullshit religion will tell you. If you're not angry about the situation where we've been given the free will to create anything within our imagination and we chose to build a prison, you are spiritually broken as a being. If that doesn't produce any anger in you, in your physiology. You are broken. And you have fallen for their bullshit satanic agenda. If you have no ability within your body, within your physiology, to feel the emotion of anger present inside of you, that means they have disconnected you from a gift of the creator of the universe, your full range of emotions and emotional intelligence. Because if you don't believe that scenario should make you angry, you are brainwashed and under mind control. And you're under emotional mind control. And there's something physically wrong with your anatomy, in your brain. Your midbrain isn't working properly. Now, that isn't to say let it go crazy to a point where you cannot control it and you're making yourself sick. The point is, what am I doing with it? It's like you got to look at it like combustible rocket fuel. This is what I'm going to explain in The Sacred Gift of Anger. You have to look at the gift of anger as something that's going to drive you forward as you burn it and take you from one place to another. You don't just light it where it's at and it goes nowhere. You need a vehicle for the expression of the anger. This is the vehicle for that expression, what I do here. And if you really listen to what I'm saying and you detach emotionally from it, you will hear the truthfulness, the veracity of what I'm saying. This is part of escaping the mind control, is being able to listen to somebody say something to you in all different emotional states, whether it be anger, rage, fucking total bliss and niceness, or whatever other state in between, humor. But you're not listening to the emotion. You're listening to whether the information is true or not. And that's what everybody in our society, the vast majority of us, have been conditioned to do, is not listen to the veracity of it, but just hear the tonality of how it makes them feel. How the actual word vibratory energy that hits their eardrums makes them feel when it gets converted into electrical impulses in their brain. They're not listening for the truth. They're listening for the tone. How does it make them feel? That's why they're playing on this mind control dynamic in the mainstream media and on the nightly news. That's why they speak with such sweet tones. But they're telling you bullshit continuously. The goal isn't to go and do their same exact tactics like that. We need to shake people out of the trance by showing them. You hear it like this, as how they talk on NPR, that, oh, we have to do what our government overlords have commanded us to do this week because they know what's better for us, right? But if I tell you you're a fucking brainwashed cult member like that, suddenly, oh, that hurts. How could he be this angry and say something like that? But you'll go and listen to the brainwashed order follower on NPR speaking with the sweet voice, lulling you, like the Pied Pipers leading the rats to slaughter. The idea is to physically hear it like that and make the mental association to break that bondage, that emotional bondage that is saying to us, only when we hear things presented in a wonderful, sweet manner should we accept it as being true. That's called mind control. That's emotional mind control. It's a huge part of this presentation on Tesla and his technology. Because the people in the free energy movement are also under this mind control. And they want to hear the same thing that they want to hear. They just want to hear people tell them, you're doing so well. It's so wonderful. This is what my friend Michael came over last week and told me. He's like, yeah, all the people in the free energy movement think that they're doing so well until they hear you. Then they realize there's a whole nother level they have to go to. And I'm like, thank you. That's a great compliment. I don't want to be known for making everybody feel comfortable and wonderful about what they're doing, unless they're going all the way in their understanding. And then, hey, if they are like that, then I do want you to feel wonderful. Then you're doing the right thing in the world. But I can count those people on two hands. Especially in a movement like this, unfortunately. And the same can be said for the New Age community. The same can be said for the UFO community. And especially the anarchist community. I mean, a little bit more get it in that community, but not by much percentage. All right, so let's move on. So what is the main thing holding people back in the free energy movement? It's their belief in authority, just like it's the same thing holding people back in just about every other aspect of life. It's the big cult. Authority is an illusion of a diseased psyche based entirely in violence and built upon the erroneous and dogmatic belief that some people are masters who have the moral right to issue commands, while others are slaves who have a moral obligation to obey the masters. The belief in authority is the world's most dangerous religion, and as I like to call it, it's the world's most dangerous cult. If you believe in authority, you are a member of a cult. Whether you accept that or not as being true, nothing will ever make that statement untrue. That's the objective, inherent truth of the universe. Not because I said it, but because that's exactly the truth of what is. Objectively and inherently within creation. Imagine being forced into a religion that you can't opt out of. It's called government. That's what government is. Based upon the belief in authority, which is a delusion of a mind-controlled, diseased mind, which is built entirely upon coercion, duress, and violence. None of which can lead to freedom. All of those things only lead to chaos and slavery. That's it. Chaos, slavery, and death are the only things that belief of authority can lead to, according to the laws of the true laws of attraction and manifestation inherent in the universe, which is natural law, which the free energy community has absolutely no fucking clue about. I could talk about this with them, with the vast majority of them, with them night and day for hours and hours daily, and they have no understanding of it because they are not occultists. They do not study the body of knowledge known as occultism, because their bullshit other cultural religions have told them that that's evil and you should never look into it, when it's really the understanding of the human psychology and the understanding of the hidden laws of nature that the bulk of humanity have not been made privy to. And that's why they keep living their lives in a mindset of total illusion and creating chaos, slavery, and death, because they don't know those laws of creation. And this is how it goes. They believe in authority in the old world. This is the old world order, as I call it. Authority vested in one. That's the old world order. All of the power concentrated in the hands of one being who is like God, God's representative on the earth. He has the divine right to rule, which came out of our ancient human ancestry and human origins, of the beings that were here calling themselves the gods, saying that they had the right to rule over us. They had no divine right. They just had advanced technology that made them look like gods. That's all. It was so advanced, it was like magic, you know? And they tell this story over and over and over again throughout, in many different storytelling methods and venues throughout human history. You know, the man who would be king. You know, just about, I mean, there's hundreds of them. The Road to El Dorado. You know, what else? There was actually an episode of Voyager about two Ferengi that go and are worshipped as gods in the Delta Quadrant in Voyager. You know, on the other side of a non-stable wormhole. I actually just rewatched an episode that was about this, and it reminded me of the whole story of Enlil and Enki. You know, the two gods who wanted to be worshipped as, you know, the two extraterrestrials that went to a non-advanced planet and they wanted to be worshipped as gods. That's where the God King story came from. Emperors, kings, pharaohs. It's all from the same place, believing that they're God on earth. This is the origin of government. The whole idea of their administrators as God's chosen people on earth. You know, where do you think that came from? You think that's the God of creation? Choosing one group of people over another? What do you think the God of creation orders people in the Bible, like, you know, Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac because he wants human sacrifice? That's the God of creation? No, that's gods with a small g. That's why they're called the Elohim. Plural. Gods. Yeah, they're gods of nothing but a big bag of shit. Because that's what they are. We're big bags of shit. And that's what all the people who have continued their whole institutions and rituals are. They're huge bags of shit. The people who believe in authority at all, you're a bag of shit. Okay? I'm not going to tell you politely like I do on other people's platforms. This is my platform, and I'm going to tell you how I want to tell you. Because I'm done with your bullshit thinking of violence. You're a violent person. You believe in violence. You believe in coercion. You believe in slavery. And that makes you a bag of shit. You're an immoral fucktard who can't think at any higher level. So I'll tell you in your language. I'll tell you in your street language. I'm not going to sugarcoat it like all these other researchers want to and all these other podcasters want to. I'm going to tell you the way I would say it to you, to your face, here in front of you. You're an immoral bag of shit. So in the ancient past, the immoral bags of shit that believed in this system of authority called it kingship, to euphemize it. Oh, the king is different than everybody else. He has special dispensation. He's been given this authority to rule everybody else and make everybody his slaves, his subjects, because the gods put him in power. The gods commanded him. He has the divine right to rule. And jackass assholes today still believe this nonsense. There are people who still have any respect for people calling themselves kings and queens. Can you believe this bullshit? I mean, we've not progressed one iota as an entire civilization and as a species. This is how immoral the bags of shit on this planet are that call themselves human beings. And then other people want me to take it light on them. Not after 220 episodes of doing this. You know? I'll take it light on you for like 1 or 2 episodes going into some new platform, but then guess what? You're going to get hit with the harder material. I'm coming back just like the psychedelics do with the clipboard. You know, oh, he's taken one hit, a half a hit of acid, of LSD. He's done a little bit, like maybe 2 grams of mushrooms. Hit him with a light experience. Hit him with the light. He's not that experienced. Let's hit him with the light, happy-go-lucky fun trip on the first round. Okay? Oh. Next experience. Oh, he's been here several times. Huh? What's he learned? What's he put into practice out in the outside world? Huh? Let's look at his chart here. Okay? Still looking at it as a means of escape. You know? Still looking at it as some joyride. Is he actually acting rightly in the real world? No. Hasn't really bring the message down to the ground on Earth. Right? But he's yet back here over and over and over and over. Well, now hit him with the hard shit. Yeah, you know anything about psychedelics, that's how it works. You know? When I knew I had a lot more work to do, it was leaving me in a pool of sweat, almost curled up in a fetal position, going, my God, I don't know if I could take I don't know if I could take any more like that. And then when I finally got up off my ass and really started doing what I was supposed to do, it's making me laugh hysterically. And other people are going, what the fuck are you laughing about? Well, because it's telling me I'm on the path. So it's saying have a little bit of fucking joy in your life because you are doing the right thing. And then other people who aren't making progress, it's leaving them in the fucking ball in a fetal position in a pool of sweat on the ground. That's how that shit works. You know? It's the same thing with what on earth is happening. It's just, it may be a different form of a psychedelic experience if you're really putting it to practice in the right way. I'm going to hit you hard if you're not doing the right thing. If it doesn't apply to you, don't take it to heart. It's not for that message isn't for you then if you're really doing the work. But if you're not, you know I'm talking about you. So now this is the new world order, right? Authority vested in few. This is the new world order. The old world order, God King. One, authority in one, unchallenged ruler. And all his henchmen under him, killing for him. Well, it's no different in the New World Order. It's just the authority has been diffused a little bit into a handful of people comprising an oligarchical institution calling itself government. The government has taken the place of the single ruling member, and now they are a body of ruling members. That's all. Instead of having one being that represents God on earth, this is an institution that represents God on earth. And they are now the lawmakers, like the king was the lawmaker. Nothing has changed except the euphemism of what you call it. You don't call it kingship any longer. Now it's called government. It's been euphemized. But all this means is to control the mind. And yes, it does mean that. Ass. I'm not going to even go into why it means that. You're just an ass if you haven't looked into it. After 220 episodes. Yes, government does mean to control the mind. Ass. Yes, it does. No matter how much you say it doesn't, yes, it does. Immutably true. Regardless of whether you think it's incorrect or not, you're wrong. Okay? And I don't need to endlessly repeat and qualify myself over and over again. Go look it up in past episodes. I'm tired of repeating myself in that regard. That's exactly what it means. Because the only way you control the body is when you control the mind. That's it. And this is why people believe in government. Because they're under mind control. Only way you can believe in authority is if you're under mind control. Oh, it doesn't matter what political identification you happen to identify with, left, right, centrist, doesn't matter, minarchist. If you believe in the concept of authority, you are under mind control and you're an immoral piece of trash. And really, like, I don't really want to associate with people who have that mindset much anymore. You know, I want to try to bring more people over to the non-authoritarian mindset. And I will use what is at my disposal to reach those people. But, you know, when it comes down to the nitty gritty, people who are authoritarians are not my friends. because they are believers in an illusion, and thus they are under mind control, and you can't ultimately really be on the same side and trust people like that. Because whether you call it kingship or government or whatever other euphemism you want to call it, however you want to identify with this concept of authority, it doesn't matter what you call it. I call it what it really is, because what it really is slavery. You could euphemize it however you want, but what it really is slavery. Okay? You know, people can call it kingship, they can call it queenship, they can call it royalty, they can call it oligarchy. It doesn't make a difference what words you want to use to euphemize it. It's the same thing when it all comes down to it. Kingship is slavery and government is slavery. And here's what the New Age movement, why is this in a Tesla presentation? Because the jackasses in the New Age, in the free energy movement, actually believe you can create free energy while maintaining a system of slavery in place. You believe that. People in your movement, yes, you believe that. That's your belief system. People in the UFO disclosure movement believe you can maintain a system of slavery and still have the disclosure of the truth of extraterrestrial intelligence to the world and all the good things that will come along with that. You believe that because none of you are talking about government as being slavery. I don't hear it. You're too chicken shit. You're chicken shit cowards. Just like most of the people in the free energy movement, you're chicken shit cowards. Here's where I come out as not your friend, right? Everybody wants to think I'm so chummy with everybody. Anarchists, I'm not your friend. UFO community, I'm not your friend. New Age and spiritualist movement, I'm not your friend. Free energy movement, I'm not your friend. I'm here to tell you the uncomfortable truth that all of you, at one level or another, still believe in forms of slavery. And that's why you'll never create a world based in true freedom. That's why you'll never have true spirituality. That's why you'll never have true freedom. That's why you'll never have true disclosure. And that's why you'll never have true free energy. And I'm the bad guy in your communities for telling you this, for telling you the truth. Well, fuck all of you. How about that? Okay? I'm done with all of you. You know? Because what I keep asking myself in this whole community is, what do I do this for? For who? For what? Like the former running back of the Philadelphia Eagles, Ricky Waters, said. Greatest thing he ever said, most honest thing that was ever said in professional sports. Because he was the star player of a shit team. The star player of a shit team. And he laid into the team and he said, why am I busting my ass doing this for you? For who? For what? Because see, what I understand that I'm doing this for is not for you. Because you ain't on my team. You're on your own team, lost in your fucking mind. Okay? I am serving the truth, not you and your bullshit communities. Your so-called movements that ain't moving fucking anywhere. They ain't moving fucking anywhere. Okay? See, this is what this whole platform is going to be about for me. It's catharsis, named after the Cathars, who I highly identify with as being people who were teaching a true variant of the early Christian tradition, but then were slaughtered for doing so. Learn about the Albigensian Crusade and the slaughter of the Cathars. Well, this is catharsis. This is the Cathars combined with the spirit of Isis, the goddess of truth and real love, if necessary, tough love. This is catharsis for me because I'm coming out now. This is my platform for really speaking as I really feel, not as I would on somebody else's platform or stage. And that's why I really don't want to do anything on anybody else's platform or stage anymore, because I don't want to travel, because I hate being harassed by fucking jerk-off road pirates when I travel. You immoral trash pieces of shit pigs. Okay? I don't want to be harassed by you fucking dunces who have no right to harass people the way that you do on the road. And honestly, I'm done talking to a half-assed mindset community that doesn't understand natural law principles. You're so ensconced in what you're doing and seeing things from a myopic perspective that you can't see first principles. And I'm just done talking to people like that. I honestly feel I'm more effective on my own platform, saying it out in the open the way I would here on the air, and then doing presentations where I'm the sole host and I could just be myself. Because I don't like wearing a mask anymore. I don't like wearing a mask anymore. This is who I really am. You know, and there's nobody behind this. This is my platform to run as I see fit. That's why I don't want your jerk off comments on this platform either. That's why I silence all of that. That's not censorship because it's not a public platform. It's an entirely private platform. Google and Facebook and Twitter are engaging in censorship because they're running a public platform. You can't give people an account and say, this is your account to post whatever you want, and then say, oh, if it doesn't agree with my political opinion, I'm going to censor you. No, that's acting as a public utility and a public forum. And then you're censoring people if they don't, and allowing other people to put their idea out if they do concur with your narrative. That's immoral. I never claimed that this is any kind of a public platform. This is me, Mark Passio, and Mark Passio's platform only. That's what on Earth is happening is now, was since I started, and always will be. You know? So that's why I really don't want to do any work with outside agencies anymore, to be honest. That's why I've pulled back from it and pulled back from it and pulled back from it. And even in the current couple of years that I've done it, what I've seen that's out there sickens me to the core of my being. And take as much as offense as you want. Get as offended as you want by that. You don't see it to the level that I do. You don't see the behavior. You don't see the mindset because you don't talk to that many people. You talk to your little, small fucking circle of friends that's like this big. And I see the big picture of everybody coming and bringing stuff to me. And I can get a very accurate picture of what the overall dynamic of behavior and personality is like. And I'm telling you, if you're not appalled by it, you're not paying attention to it. Because people would rather argue amongst themselves than actually go out and do any real work. Because they see what putting together a platform like this is. They see what doing the steady work of having to do this constantly, make all this content. You know, you wouldn't do it. You couldn't do it. You don't, first of all, most people don't have the skill set to do it, and they're not developing the skill set. They're still talking. They are yapping. Yap, yap, fucking yap, yap, yap. Shut your fucking mouth and get to work. How about that? No, that doesn't occur to anybody. Yap on fucking Facebook. Blah, 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 tapping away on the keyboard. Blah, 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 blah. It's what you sound like, a jerk off. Well, you know what you have to show? Really, in the long term, as an archive of your data, you have a big fat fucking goose egg. 99.999% of you. Well, you can yap on, gums flapping the fuck away about how I could be doing it better or how somebody else who has a huge body of work could be doing it better. Fuck y'all. How about that? Okay? This is Mark Passio circa episode 220, not circa episode 1. I'm done with that Mark Passio. Okay? He ain't ever coming back. You're getting the hardcore shit now. Let's see if I got this correct. You believe that people can't govern themselves, but you also believe some people can govern hundreds of millions of other people. This is the smacked ass fucktarded mindset of people who believe in the concept of authority. Like, could you imagine explaining this to someone that's not from the earth? What government is? Larkin Rose has done great presentations on this. Tell me what government is. Oh, it's... Well, see, we don't believe that people can govern themselves, so they have to be externally controlled through coercive laws. You know, and then this one body of part of humanity is called government, and they write these laws. And then the aliens thinking, well, wait, you just told me that people are generally bad and they can't really take care of their own affairs. So are these not human beings? Oh no, they're humans. They're just a smaller subsect of humans. Well, is there anything inherently that makes them any better than other people? No, just more people voted for them than their opponents when they were running for election. And this is what people believe. They believe you could take a subset of shit and put it in control of the body of shit, and magically the shit will turn to gold. That's what you believe. That's what the jackasses who believe in government believe. What makes these people morally superior and having some wonderful, majestic mindset that's holier than thou? They're just as much moral relativists as any other member of the population. All you got to do is do the same social experiments with them. And they'll be all too happy to tell you that they're moral relativists and or solipsists that don't believe in objective reality and don't believe in objective morality. Because that's what 99.9% of them think like. And then we think they're fit to govern others. You know, the whole idea that, oh, because man is not an angel, he's not fit to be fully free and unbounded by government. No, wrong. Because man is no angel and no human being are angelic, no one is fit to rule. There are none who are fit to rule others. You know, the whole idea of the concept of divide and conquer. This is what this is all put in place for. And divide et imperia means divide and rule. You know, it's been euphemized into divide and conquer. I was talking about this with a friend this week. It's been euphemized into that. It actually means in the original Latin, divide and rule. Not just conquer, but rule over someone. Rule over the two groups that you're dividing. And that Hegelian dialectic is what they use to polarize the political party. And that polarization it's more advanced than it ever has been in human history in the modern day. And that's because people don't understand natural law. They don't understand the illegitimacy of all forms of authority as being violence, coercion, duress, and slavery, because they do not understand natural law. They do not understand the principles of natural law. They do not understand the transgressions against natural law, which are murder, assault, rape, theft, trespass, coercion, and lying. All forms of theft, all forms of taking that which does not belong to you, probably the ultimate of which is coercion. Attempting to take the greatest gift of the creator of the universe away from the beings that is, it gave to them as their birthright. He, she, it, whatever you want to call it. That force, that aspect of creation gifted to human beings as their birthright endowment. Free will. Coercion is the theft of that. All forms of transgressions against natural law, all forms of wrongdoing are forms of theft. There is only one ultimate wrongdoing, and that is theft. Don't steal rights, life, freedom, property, free will, and there won't be a problem. Continue to perform and condone acts of theft in any aspect that it exists, you're going into bondage. That's how the universal laws of consequentialism, of cause and effect, of morality work. And this is what people don't understand, and that's why you need to listen to all my work on natural law, especially my 3-part 9-hour series called Natural Law, the Real Law of Attraction, and How to Apply It in Your Life. This is the title card right there from that presentation, available on whatonearthishappening.com in the video section or on my YouTube channel. The vast majority of the very people who say they want to see the manifestation of free energy are actually blocking the manifestation of free energy by the way they continue to think. Because this leads to what they continue to condone and how they continue to behave, which has kept humanity in a state of total slavery. It starts with the slavery or imprisonment of the mind through mind control, and then it manifests out into the world through what they condone and how they behave themselves through the manifestation in the physical world with the body, conducting that manifestation through their behavior. And that's exactly what we are talking about. The people who are in the free energy movement, unfortunately, have not freed their minds yet. They are still under mind control of the belief that authority and government are morally legitimate when they never can be. And for as long as you continue to think that contradictory notion, that cognitive dissonance being still in place, that you can work through channels of government and government can be in place, but somehow you're going to create a system that frees human beings, you are imagining what never was, what is not now, and what never can be, because you are under mind control. Free energy cannot be manifested as long as the people of Earth continue to believe in and condone humanity's current immoral institutions, which are based entirely in violence, coercion, deception, ignorance, greed, usury, and exploitation. And for as long as you continue to think that these institutions exist for their ostensible purpose instead of their true purpose, and for as long as you think that they are trying to actually improve the quality of life on this planet instead of hinder it and enslave it, you are a naive, retarded, mind-controlled individual who can only do anything to help the manifestation of slavery on this planet, and you can never do anything to truly help the manifestation of freedom on this planet. That is an immutably true statement. That is that way because this is how the internal dynamics of creation as laws of the governing dynamics of behavior work. Not because I said it, but because, like many millions of people before me and millions that will come after me, I have learned and discovered that principle that is already pre-existing in creation and its laws. That is what natural law is. And this is how it works in the free energy community. You have people who are positing, oh, this is what we can make happen. Who wants this to happen? Oh, everybody raises their hands. Oh, I want that to happen. I want that change to take place. But then when you have somebody like me saying to them, well, you know what? You can't have that change take place externally in the external manifestation of our entire society unless all the individual members of that society change inwardly. Change how they think, change how they feel, change what they condone, and ultimately change how they behave in the world. Then all the hands go down when you say, who wants to change like that? Say, fuck you, I don't want any part in that process. I want to stay just how I am, and I want the world to magically change around me when I don't want to change one fucking part of myself. Well, you are a smacked ass, fucktarded, naive bitch if you think that's how it works. If you think you can keep your hand in the boiling water, keep applying heat to it, but you're not going to get burnt, the water's not going to eventually boil away, okay? You're not going to hurt yourself in the process. After you take the water boils away, oh, I put the pan on the side, I want to magically cool my hand off by keeping it right over the fire. You want to believe that's how the world works. This is how retarded you are. And the people out there listening, you're not bringing this information to people properly. You're not putting them onto it. They're not watching it. They're not paying attention to it. You're not making them pay attention. You might have to divorce yourself from their presence and say, this is more important in my relationship to you. Either pay attention to it or go off the cliff by yourself, but you're not taking me with you, and I'm not going to help you go by going and being buddy-buddy with you while you drive yourself off a cliff into the flames. You have to make them see how important this is. And ask them right to their face, you value my relationship, our relationship that we've built as friends or associates or partners or whatever, because you're displaying who you really are. That's what you got to put in front of them. And that's what I put in front of people. And you know what I've done? I've let them go their separate way from my life. Because they're bad people. That's the big divide, is separating the good people from the bad people. If at some point they come back and they say, I want to know what you wanted to teach me before, then do it. Take them up on that. That's called turning the other cheek. But you got to put before them an ultimatum at some point. It is not here to not have a divide happen between people. You know, the concept here is we are not here to bring peace. We're here to bring the sword of truth. By placing the choice, will you pay attention to the truth and how reality really works and become a truly good person by learning objective morality? Or will you continue to stay in the illusion, the trance, the total mind-controlled mindset and continue to help build a planet of enslavement? And if that's your choice, you're a bad person. That's what makes you a bad person. This is what I've told almost every member of my family, which is why I really don't like to go around them for any length of time. They're bad people. They're just bad people when it comes down to the inner core of who they are. On the outside, do they try to overtly hurt people? No, that's not what makes you a truly good person, though. Just refraining from physically damaging other people does not immediately make you a good person. Capital G good, capital P person. That's not the definition of a good person. The definition of a good person is when they see tyranny happening in the world, they will try to find the causal factor of that condition so that they can do the most good to help reverse that condition. And if they don't want to learn those principles and they say, fuck that, I don't want to learn that, I don't need to learn that, I'm not going to do that with my time, I'm not going to take at least enough of my time to learn how this works and then help propagate it, you're a bad person. And that's not proselytizing a religion. That's saying the truth about how a law in nature works that people have to learn as surely as they need to learn how gravity works so that they don't walk off tall buildings or fall out windows of tall buildings. Okay? And teaching that is what makes someone, learning it and teaching is what makes you a good person. And you got people getting involved in all kinds of theft and schemes and, you know, just shit that people are involved in. Just schemes that try to steal from people. I mean, some of the lowest form of trash, lying to people in the media. Some of the lowest forms of fucking mutant garbage. Your parents were just absolutely inhuman trash garbage. I mean, there's no even words for it. There's no words for how low of just fucking garbage people like that are. People who want control over other people. Because you know why? You know why you want that control? You know how much of a piece of fucking dirt garbage you are. That's why they want that control. They hate what a bad fucking person they are. They know they're a big fucking piece of trash garbage. And so they think everybody needs to be controlled like they would really want done to themselves because you're a self-loathing piece of fucking garbage. But no one will say that to somebody like that. That's the mindset of someone who is a control freak and wants to control other people's behavior. But I'm one of the only people with the balls to say it like that. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong that I'm not the only one with that much courage. That's what I want to see. I want to see other people just saying it right out in the open the way it really is. Don't sugarcoat it at all. And then people are like, oh, you won't do any good like that. You don't fucking know a goddamn thing about what good will come out of that. Want to know why? Only like maybe 2 people in the history of humanity have ever tried it. You think it's been tried? You don't know human history if you think it's been tried. You don't know what unapologetic truth might do to the world. You know, maybe that's what we're really supposed to be doing here. Instead of trying to give people little tiny bite-sized, oh, little baby, here's a little bite-sized piece of the truth here. Oh, will you take it? I'll put it on a little tiny little spoon for you. Here, just open up. Oh, choo-choo train, choo-choo, woo-woo. No. How about no? How about we try to treat people like what we want them to be? Responsible adult human beings capable of learning and disseminating truth. No, we can't have that. That might put us in the light of an adult instead of a self-loathing little fucking child that wants mommy and daddy to take care of every aspect of life for them. When are we going to grow up? And when are the people going to step forward who are just going to say, no, this isn't the way it needs to be or should be, and you're the problem because you're a self-loathing little child inside that's never grown up emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. To understand, we don't need this level of control and enslavement all around us to get involved in every aspect of our lives. We can be responsible adult human beings that knows what's best for us and doesn't infringe on other people's rights in the process of performing that kind of behavior that is within our rights to perform. We don't need all these rules, restrictions, and endless violations of our rights coming into every area of our lives possible. This is what the modern left wants. A little baby society being told what they could do by mommy, poppy, nanny, daddy. I'm not your fucking child, motherfucker. You don't own me. I own my life. I know what's best for my life, not you. You're a dumb bag of shit, quite frankly. You're certainly not as intelligent holistically as I am. You're not going to tell me what I know and I don't know when you don't know shit about the world and how it works. Don't presume to tell me you know and I don't, like I'm your fucking child It's quite the opposite way around. I'm the adult in the room, boy. And that's how it's going to be said to you, because I'm not going to be ruled by fucking children. And you're going to learn how much I'm not going to be ruled by children when the time comes. And it's coming. Tesla was an adult in a world full of children. Again, just like the founding fathers of America, he didn't get it all. You know? You got to understand the time period we're talking about. We didn't have the information that we do now. The totality of the information being present at our fingertips, the ability to awaken the mind to the level that it can be awakened in today's world. It's amazing that the people who existed before Tesla and at his time were even able to grow and develop themselves to the extent that they did. What was he, some perfect enlightened avatar? No. But guess what? He was way out in front of most of the rest of humanity in most ways. So again, I'm not propping Tesla up as some god or saint. Okay, I'm talking about Tesla as a person who saw that we could create a human future far better than what we are doing. And saw that potential in humanity. And realized by giving humanity free will choice, they will choose to do the right thing if they're given the tools and the knowledge to make those correct decisions. The people who will really be truly psychopathic will be a tiny fraction in our society. This is what people have to understand. The bulk of humanity is not really, they've been turned into bad people through the mental influence that they've been put through. But that's no excuse for them not working on themselves and coming to the correct conclusions. See, it's a dual-edged sword. You have to be at least so hard on them that you don't make them think this is something that should be being done to you and you're the victim and you have no control over it. But you also can't be, so light on them that you're like, oh, woe is you. This is all just mind control and you're the big victim here. There has to be a balance in place where you say, this does not have to be the way the human condition is, but this isn't human nature. This isn't nature. This is how human society, the condition human society has come into through mental influence and wrong forms of mental nurturing. Nurture trumps nature in almost every way. Sadly, because we are programmable beings. Our nature is that we can be programmed by the information around us and in our environment and through our environment and the people around us. And if the people before us were programmed incorrectly and then they teach that to the next generation, well, garbage goes in, garbage comes out. You have bad parenting, generally you end up as a bad adult that then acts as a bad parent until you break the cycle. And we have to understand that's what we're talking about here with genuine enlightenment. We have to break the cycle of the desire for more control. And Tesla wanted to put that framework in place through the technology. He said that science, that is divorced from the betterment of humanity is but a perversion of itself. Paraphrasing, Science that, does not have as its end goal the betterment of humanity is but a perversion of itself. Okay? He also said peace can only come as a consequence of universal enlightenment. And I modify that statement to say a world based in free energy can only come as a consequence of a universal paradigm shift in human consciousness. And therefore a paradigm shift in behavior. You're not ever going to get free energy first. Again, that's putting the cart before the horse. Tesla technology rides in the cart. The horse that ushers it in is the paradigm shift that is currently missing in humanity. What this whole presentation is about. The paradigm shift that has to usher in Tesla technology and true freedom hasn't occurred. We will never have Tesla technology until that paradigm shift in consciousness happens. And all of those characteristics, we discussed them last week in part 1. Go over them and review them. Watch the Natural Law Seminar. Watch the Streetwise Spirituality Seminar, which I cover these dynamics of what a paradigm shift in consciousness and a true awakening of humanity really looks like. The true characteristics of an awakening in humanity. That's the world Tesla envisioned, ladies and gentlemen. And it could be a society that is truly free and one that has technologies and possibilities that we can scarcely envision from where we're at now. We have to want it bad enough through our free will and then make it manifest through our behaviors. It will not just, that paradigm shift in consciousness will not just magically manifest on its own. All right. Patty Lager, you are live on What on Earth is Happening, episode number 220. Patty, good to hear from you. Welcome. Let me ask you a question.
Hi, Mark. Can you hear me okay?
Is it more rural or urban where you're at?
I live in St. Louis, Missouri, and I would say it's probably a lot like Philadelphia.
So you're actually in the city. So, okay, so
yes, I'm in the county just outside of the city,
okay.
But yeah, close.
So if you go into the heart of the city, you see this dynamic where if you ask people like, is morality objective, they're going to say, oh no, it's just up to us to decide. And if you say, is government necessary, and is it morally legitimate, they're going to say, oh, absolutely. You see that dynamic in that urban environment.
100%. I mean, I'm a college professor. I teach at a college. And I've stepped out of education and then I get back into it because I have a passion for teaching. I really do love it, touching my students with education. But I was at it's our first week of class. We had all of these meetings, and they had the audacity to tell us that our students they get confused by too many choices. They're trying to limit choices. They want students to have a direct path to a job, a just over broke job, to enslave them, to keep them in this system. They're like, if you give them too many choices, they get confused and they run away. But no, we have to give them this class and then this class, and they have this system to go through.
Outcome-based
it's part
education.
of the enslavement system. Exactly. Yeah. And I'm sitting there laughing, and I'm looking around at my coworkers thinking, don't you find this to be a joke? And they're just all in it.
Yeah.
They're all in it. They think it's great.
Because they don't really care about the betterment of human beings. They just want the paycheck. They're just there because this is what they have to do as a way of making money. And all they care about is getting the paycheck at the end of the week. And this is what I've been trying to explain to people. By definition, makes someone a bad person. We have to stop viewing this traditional definition of a good person versus a bad person, which is stuck in people's minds. Okay, that's why I did the whole show called Evil is More Powerful Than Good in Our World. More people are bad people in the world, have become. It doesn't mean that inherently they're bad people. More people, through their free will choices and their refusal to work upon themselves, their mindset and their behavior, have become bad people in the world than there are good people. And this is that very dynamic. People just care about themselves and what they are going to get out of a situation. That's what Satanism is. That's what Satanism is. So I want to ask you another question. See, I'm asking you more questions than you're asking me, but I find it an interesting dynamic to kind of like look into. And you work at a university. Now, you are an anarchist and you are also a vegan. I mean, I am a vegan, but I don't even like to even use the term because of how emotionally charged it is. I just say I eat a complete plant-based diet. Okay. So I know you're into that way of living too, of not harming animals, leaving the animals alone, and for our nutrition, taking the plant-based whole foods that are in nature for us to sustain ourselves on. Okay. And if we do that the right way, we could be strong, healthy individuals, thinking clearly, really doing the work. There's no reason why anybody can't transition to that form of a lifestyle, okay? Regardless of what you want to call it, vegan, plant-based, etc. Okay? So obviously working in a sort of an urban, university style setting, university setting in an urban environment, you're going to see a lot of younger people who are vegan, okay, or who eat a plant-based diet. Yet you're also going to see that total dichotomy, that total socially engineered mind control, dualistic dynamic, and putting them in total cognitive dissonance, where on the one hand, they're vegan and believe animals should be free and free of coercion and enslavement. through what's being done to them through the farming system. And on the other hand, they still believe that government should be in place and human beings should be put on farms called governments of the world and kept in a state of free-range slavery through the governmental system. How do they, in their own mindset, reconcile this total contradiction in their thinking?
Well, because I have a problem with both vegans and anarchists because of that concept right there. And again, the vegans, they can't vote to end animal, they'll never vote it out of existence. You have to abolish the government first, and then the animals will be free. Because humanity will have risen in consciousness to realize we can govern ourselves, and we don't want to be governed, so therefore we shouldn't govern any
That's right.
animal.
No masters above and no slaves below. This is the whole concept of no masters, no slaves. It's not only that we want to free ourselves, from the tyranny that is seemingly ruling us from above, but we shouldn't be masters over other beings either. That's what real freedom is. Being an advocate of true freedom means that you don't advocate for being masters of species that you consider not as developed or, quote, lower than you in consciousness,
Exactly, yeah.
So, I just think we have to bridge that community through those communities through natural law. As you said, the anarchist community doesn't get the aspect of natural law that applies to animals, and the vegan community doesn't get the aspect of natural law that applies to human beings.
Yeah, we really do, Mark. And I think one thing that's kind of scary in the vegan community are all of these fake vegan foods that are full of GMOs and all of that. So that's another thing I'm a strong proponent of. If we're going to be healthy vegans, we have to be focusing on real food. Right. None of this GMO, soy, chemicalized food, because I think that might be affecting their mental state as well.
I think that's definitely a part of it. It's like, small amounts of that, fine, but if we're going to make that the total staple of what we're eating, and then, a lot of them are juicing and blending on a daily basis and then supplementing correctly. It's like, there's so many natural things that we could be doing just with raw foods and just making that a staple. Then if you're going to eat a few things that are somewhat processed, you're not going to be doing that the bulk of the time. When you make that the bulk or the essence of the diet, then you're going down the wrong path. And a lot of vegans do that.
Yeah.
So, Patty, thank you so much for the points that you've brought up today. Great, things for people to ponder and consider. So thank you.
Thank you for everything, Mark.
Anyway, you got it. What I want to do regarding that, the reason I'm going to just even show them here on camera, is at some point in the near future, I want to do a show on the agenda of androgenization in human society within Satanism. Because this is a faction of modern Satanism. See, LaVeyan Satanism isn't so much for this aspect. They were for the delineation and distinction between the sexes. However, there are other satanic sects, if you will, factions, that do want to, that's them, that do want to really androgenize people. And to show that is a very huge part of exposing modern Satanism, because this is, you could look at this as this is the leftist faction in the world of modern Satanism that want to bring the world into what is known as international socialism or worldwide communism. So I'm just going to show this. I want to thank you for the call and bringing up, reminding me, of this point in general.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. So, what I'm going to show here are pretty rare items to have physically in your possession. I don't know how many of these were ever really printed, okay? But these are the books that I was, you could call them books. They're more like large pamphlets. They're like, these are just bound at a local copy center probably. And there's probably not that many copies of these in existence. I would say there's probably in the thousands if I had to venture a guess. Okay, so this one here is called Satanism, Social Realism, and the Second Coming. Okay, I'll see if I can hold that closer. And if the camera will pick it up, I'll go over here. Okay, and that is the priest of this organization from Whitehall on the front, and there it says Reverend Magus by Magus Yaj Nomelos, or J. Solomon, who is considered the high priest of that organization, the Whitehall Church of Satan. I would doubt he's probably even alive at this point. I don't know whether that's the case or not. I haven't really tried to catch up with him, but there you have it right there. Social realism and the second coming. Okay, and as you can see, they use different symbolism, slightly different symbolism than the LaVeyan branch of Satanism. But you know, what I really want to get into and talk about when I go through this, I'm going to go through and make notes on this. I might even digitize this. I got to see if I have a copy that is already digitized. Okay, but I want to talk about where he really gets into the message of androgyny. Okay, so you'll see it right here. I'll just go right. I'll see if I can get this on here. It says survival and the androgenation, and this shall be my name onwards. And that spells Satan. Survival and the androgenation. You see that right there? Right here. That's his acronym for Satan. Survival and the androgenation. So this is putting, you know, human egotism and survival, physical needs, and androgyny as the basis for the society that they want to create. This is the first tenet of Satanism, combined with the eradication of the distinction between the sexes. And that's what this whole androgenization agenda is, with the 60 some odd genders, etc., and weakening the male in society and denigrating the male, etc. And this is part of the satanic agenda, and I covered this pretty extensively in neo-feminism and the satanic epi-eugenics agenda. And I know this is diverging from the, you know, Tesla and humanity's missing paradigm shift a little bit, but, you know, this is part of the reason that, you know, that paradigm shift hasn't happened, because we're being completely mind controlled and brainwashed by institutions and think tanks and occult organizations that have really gained a foothold and traction in our society that are putting us down the wrong path. You know, and then this is the adjunct or addendum to that book, which I showed people last week, called Satanic, or a few weeks ago, called Satanic Rites and Ceremonies. And this goes into some of the rituals that this particular organization does get involved with. And, you know, you see here, there's some, he had an association with LaVey as well, shown here, where LaVey is, and there you have Peter Gilmore, you know. So it's showing people that, like, you know, people in other satanic organizations really kind of you know, what do you call it, sanctioned Solomon's work as part of the Whitehall Church of Satan. So where they may have disagreed in certain aspects, you know, he had their blessing in others. And again, as I've said, LaVey was just a lackey. You know, that's all he was. He was involved with the Bushes and people in intelligence. You know, his son outed those aspects of it, and, you know, talked about how, you know, he was just an order follower as well. People who think, oh, he was such a great, his own person. I mean, he had connections to the Lansky-Meyer organized crime syndicate, which then had obvious connections to, you know, Israeli intelligence and U.S. intelligence. You know, he became personal friends with members of the Bush family. And this guy was just a lackey for government agents, you know, and they charged him to put the work that he put out, which was a coalescence and concrescence of the satanic ideology for the every man and every woman. That's all it was all ultimately about, to bring people in from the outside, because they know they don't have the numbers unless they actually bring some useful dupes in with characteristics and skill sets that they can use as tools. So let's go to another caller. We have limited time, less than 10 minutes left on the broadcast. So let's hear from Apollo G. Apollo G, you are live on What on Earth is Happening, episode 220. Welcome to the show.
Speaking of which, what was I going to go into? Oh, the vegan and anarchist thing I was going to talk. That's just, I feel like that's just left brain, right brain, the mental schism that you always talk about, you know? It's the ones that are willing slaves, but they're good enough to, or at least open-minded enough to accept that, to not harm animals, yet they won't have the masculine component to stand up to. You see how few people have all of those dynamics interpersonally worked within. It's such a simple concept, but like, yeah, it's such a simple concept, but like people don't get it. We're fractured. We're not holistic as beings, as individuals, you know, and that'll cause problems societally, because the society is just going to be a reflection of the individuals that comprise it. Right, polarized, as you say, like the pole ice.
Yeah.
I made a connection. I don't know if you mentioned the fact that like the North and South Pole are pole ice, you know,
Yes.
and in the middle is where
Yep.
things grow.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and off icer, I like off icer to say off icer just because it's male energy, you know. So
Right.
it's like an off icer.
Right. It's
So
interesting green language, how that language worked out like that, you know?
yeah, and I know you like science fiction. So another green language thing I realized was science fiction itself is the two sides. You have the masculine science logic from the Greek rune psi, and then phi is from the feminine side creation, like the Fibonacci spiral is always creating.
Creative aspect
So
of
science
fiction, yes.
shows you when it's what's possible with those two things together.
Excellent.
Like things that we haven't ever imagined
without
before.
a doubt. I mean, that's a great point, you know, and that's why
Right.
science fiction can work to enhance the human imagination and wake people up to possibilities and get them thinking, hey, we could be doing so much better. We could be advancing our society in so many interesting and creative ways. You know, that's why I've always liked it as a genre.
Right, it's like a painting. You're taking that chaos of just all the possibility and then putting it into a very ordered thing, even though the painting might look chaotic over what you're trying to paint, but it's still what it is specifically.
Right.
So,
and it's that dynamic of both life imitating art and art imitating life. I mean, it goes in both directions.
absolutely. Let's see. I mean, I could go on and on. Yeah, but I thought that was really fascinating that with the two Greek runes and how psychology and philosophy are also based on those two things. And there's almost a dichotomy in people that study those things where like people will want to gravitate more towards the psychology side of things and some people more the philosophy side.
Right.
So
but only when we combine
like,
the two do we have a holistic understanding of things. You know, that's what we have to develop.
So many people just trapped in one, and like the other one's just nonsense, or we got to fight the other one.
And that's what we have to do. We have to bring that awareness up into the full conscious mind of people. This is the whole point of it all, folks. It's learning that that's where our imbalances are, and then learning how to integrate holistically all of those aspects of the mind and the individual.